Welcome, grinders. This is a very special episode. It's an episode that I've been waiting for the right time to touch on, and today, this weekend, perfect time. It's Easter weekend. It's Good Friday today. Tomorrow is the Sabbath, and Sunday is Easter Sunday. So, I personally will not be participating in poker this weekend, but I needed to make this episode for you because Christianity and poker are two things that people don't know if they really go together or not. And it's time to clear the air. Who else better to do it than a Christian myself, right? So let's get into this. First of all, I have an episode that I've already filmed and I need to drop. I'm gonna wait until Monday to do it because I'm gonna skip over this entire weekend. I don't even want to make this episode today, but since I won't be playing, I think this is a good time to go ahead and drop this. I would rather do it on Good Friday than I would on the Sabbath or on Easter Sunday. So I'm going to go ahead and release this to you today. We're just going to do like a Christian and Poker 101. I think it's a very important subject, and who else better to talk to about this? So the first thing you need to know about the Bible and gambling. What we know about gambling today, and the way we understand it, it wasn't really applicable to those times. So the Bible doesn't really explicitly mention gambling. Now, whether they had certain forms of it back then, we would have to really do some historical research to see. I haven't done any, but if you look through the Bible, you can do some quick searches through Google online. It doesn't whatever. It does not specifically talk about gambling, but it does talk about certain principles that you could apply to gambling. So that is why it is restricted technically in the Bible Belt of the United States, Texas, and Texas Hold'em. Should it be legal here? Should it not? That debate is really coming up. The example has been set by numerous other rooms that are here. Texas Card House, for an example. So this conversation's coming up. So since it's Easter Sunday and I'm giving you tactics and teachings and giving you game, I figured we'd go ahead and touch on that this weekend since that is on my to-do list in the next 20 topics. So today's the day. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the 6 of the principles that are going to be applicable to your faith, Christianity, what the Bible preaches, and let's equate that to gambling. We're still going to call poker gambling because there is too much gambling involved in poker still, even with structures like the Grinders Challenge, even with your own strategies, your skills. Obviously, you've seen the leaderboards. Those of us that are in the Grinders Challenge, we are in the elite grinders area, so we can consistently win. And we are doing so with no investment or very little investment, a very small foundational investment just to get a baseline going, which you can return that investment to yourself once you climb forward. So you kind of start teetering on the edge of a little more gambling if you were investing into the game, but you were also taking your profits and keeping them separate from the rest of your day job money or whatever sources of income that you have. They are separated. You just gave yourself a contribution into a business. So you're taking more of an investor into a business route than you are doing something like what I did, where I started off strictly from a free roll, took $0 and scaled it to whatever I will scale it to over the course of years. You do not have to follow my structure. I just try to set an example of how I can show that you can have a $0 investment and separate your finances completely. And that's going to be one of the principles. I'm not going to get into that one first. Well, I guess kind of. I'm going to talk about stewardship first, right? So the stewardship of, the Bible teaches about responsible stewardships of resources. Gambling can be seen as a misuse of money and resources that could be better utilized to help others or fulfill one's responsibilities, right? 1 Corinthians 4:2 is an example of that. I should take some more notes. But basically, it's exactly why the Grinders Challenge is a good thing for you to get into. For stewardship, a misuse of money. We're not taking our day job money. We're not going to go put that on the felt and hope that we double up, even though we don't usually win. Those of you in the Grinders Challenge that are investing into your game, you're treating it like a business. You're giving yourself a one-time contribution into a business and you are scaling it from there. And if you lose, you can decide whether to keep going, or maybe I'm going to talk you back down and go into a free roll. That way you don't keep investing money and misusing your stewardship, right? Or however you want to say that correctly. That's the principle. That's why gambling is frowned upon. And that is why Texas does not need a casino. Most of the general public's going to agree with me. Whether you want to argue with me on this or not, I don't care. I stand with the general public on this one. I believe in Texas Hold'em. It's called Texas Hold'em. It needs to be here. Like I played across the entire United States. This is the hardest place to play poker, hands down. So yeah, it needs to be here, but it needs to be done correctly, and all the other gambling needs to be washed out. Texas Hold'em exclusively. Omaha, I guess you're gambling more than anything. We can argue that a different day. I'm going to exclusively argue for Texas Hold'em. I would say yes, if you follow my example and if enough people do it. Love of money, principle number 2. The root of all evil is money. The Bible warns against the love of money and its potential to lead people away from faith and righteousness. 1 Timothy 6:10, gambling often involves a desire for quick wealth, which can be aligned with this warning. So yes, greed, obviously, and inflated egos. We all know that mo money, mo problems, right? However, we're also in this time and age in America where inflation is insane. And if we did not have an illegal immigration coming in numbers that we do, I think personally that we would be hitting hyperinflation, meaning we're thinking that things are getting more expensive, but actually the value of your dollar is decreasing, which is why you need more of them to afford things that you didn't need before. Your dollar doesn't have value. Most people look at it the wrong way. So if we're just printing money, that's got to go somewhere, or it's got no value to it. So people coming up through the border, they're getting funded through all kinds of things. So all that printed money is going to a bunch of people. So if you start a business, right, what is your most expensive what's your most pricey expense? Salaries. So you fill that money with people. That's how you compensate for printing too much money. They need to turn the printer off, but we're not going to get into politics right now. But I'm just bringing up a point that this country is in like a huge problem, and it's a Christian nation. So yeah, we need to find extra ways to make money safely without gambling. So that's why I'm really pushing the Grinders Challenge right this second, because you need to find an extra way to make some money. And one of the other principles is, I'm going to skip ahead. Let's see. So one of the other principles, let's go. Just poor stewardship of time. So the stewardship is the first one, obviously. Not treating your resources correctly, misuse of money and resources, because you can put that in other places. That's why we don't have an investment. So the poor stewardship of time, gambling can consume excessive amounts of time and energy, detracting from more meaningful pursuits such as work, family, and serving others. Totally, absolutely, 100% true. And if you've noticed in my episodes before, I've really mentioned that, I didn't want to go play because I'm spending time with my girl. We just got engaged. We're building a house. We're getting married. So I'm developing a family, and, I'm starting the foundation of a new family. So using my time, the stewardship of poor time, I have to be careful with that, which is why I only play sparingly. I'm only going on Saturday nights right now, which seems like a perfect time to hang out with your new family, right? So that part is unfortunate, but it is also just a temporary thing because I am building a bankroll from zero. So once I get that bankroll up to a new level, I can go play other times. I don't have to spend those more important times like weekend times where we're all relaxing and enjoying our company. I will get to allocate my time differently once I build my bankroll. So this is only a temporary sacrifice of my time. And as long as I don't consistently do that with no plan, this is okay. This is not a misuse of my time or my stewardship. So we'll go to risk and trust in God. This is going to be an interesting one, right? Some argue that gambling represents a lack of trust in God's provision and instead relies on chance and luck. So, this is a difficult one to touch on because that is a yes and a no question. I'm very in touch with God. I talk to him. He shows you things. The way that he talks to you is that he shows you things throughout time. Now, in fact, I think he's done it through poker multiple times because I can tell sometimes that he came through when I was like, I really need you to come through on this. I'm trying to be as much of a responsible poker player as I can. I know that I'm an example for enough people that they're going to follow me because I've played with thousands of you, and I've never really met one of you that really consistent, like really authentically thought that I was a bad player. I've gotten a compliment for almost every single one of you. You all know I'm a really good player. And what have I always done? Encouraged you to be better yourself. And that is the whole premise of this grinders concept in the first place. Like, even when I was doing local free rolls, my whole thing was to make cash so that I could fund my project and get it filmed and get it picked up by a streaming platform. Now, we were also in the middle of a culture war, so there's a reason that I got destroyed and found some crazy things out after I got a couple episodes done. And I mean, I don't want to say I'm glad that COVID hit and shut it down, but if I would have known what was going on during that time and that didn't happen, yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to save that for another day. That's some wild, wild stuff. So, yeah, this is where we have to be careful again. So, yeah, risk and trust in God. Does gambling represent a lack of trust in God? You are going to go through a roller coaster throughout life, ups and downs, financial burdens, financial successes, and that is going to be up to God's timeline that's planned for you. So during this time, this economic crisis, this crazy inflation, everybody is looking to make extra money. I'm going to give you a really good example. Okay, one of my past clients has a massively successful construction company. He does HVAC, plumbing, electrical, hot water heaters, roofing, like, and it is extremely successful. You can see their vans all over the place. One of my 10 video campaigns I did for them made them $700,000. Now, this is revenue. This isn't profit. There's expenses, there's materials, their profit margins, they're probably in the 10%, but I mean, I charged them like, 1% of what he was making. So I didn't charge him a lot because I wanted to show him that I knew how to convert and do things correctly. And that was just 1 out of 10 campaigns. He made a lot of money off me. But he didn't just do that. He owned this company, which was massive, but he also owned a land. He owned the real estate of another company that he owned the land of the buildings that it was built on top of. And then he owned the building and he leased out the business to another business owner. So I got to really see some interesting ways that people do things. And now he owns that entire company on top of that. So it's multiple layers. And then he's also involved in like local real estate as well. So he puts his employees on property that he owns as well. So he owns like a management company where he leases out homes and apartments and townhomes. So apparently, from what I understood, he was doing Uber secretly too, just to figure out the business. So even a guy that makes that much money, owns that big of a business, he has his hands in several other places. Now, I mean, does he need that in this economy? Probably not. But I think the point was that he was leveraging himself financially to the point to where if anything does collapse around him, then, it's just one piece that's going to be taken away. And it's a smart business move. And the reason I'm bringing that up to you is because a lot of you are looking for part-time jobs. You're looking for pretty much anything to make some extra income because if you're not making $50,000 a year minimum, like, what are you doing? You're like right now, I mean, you're eating like cereal and canned meat and crackers for meals. Like it's tough, especially if the drive like somewhat of a distance to work, insurance is out, like everything's crazy. So, this could be like, do you trust God to come through? Yes, but you also need to take care of yourself. Like, that as above, so below conversation, or that saying that always comes through. Well, I think it's got more of a meaning than just like a heaven and hell thing, or where I think we're misinterpreting that, the majority of us. Now, like more hardcore Christians, you're going to know the answer to this, but I think the general public is a little confused on it. I think, and I really truly believe this, and I think I got that answer from upstairs. I think what we do here also displays up there. So, like, we have to work when we're up there too. We have to build the kingdom of heaven. We have to constantly maintain it. It's not just like God snaps his fingers and everything's perfect. I mean, maybe we don't know, but it makes sense that we would have the responsibility to keep putting that place together and keeping up with it, which is like why we used to get that saying, like, if God showed up or if Jesus came back today and he walked through your house and your house was clean, you know, how would he feel about that? Maybe that was just our parents teaching us to like clean our room and keep up. But I think it's a real concept. I think the keeping your room clean is more of a, it's not just like a physical place, or are you actually keeping a room clean? I think it's more like a soul thing too. Like, is your house clean? Is your temple clean? Are you like, you know, where are you at? Are you know? I think you understand what I'm saying. So, risk and trust in God. Is this a risk and trust in God? Yes, but you have to also leverage yourself, and you have to give him his 1 day a week, and you must do that. So if you have trouble doing that, find a radio station that has biblical stuff on it. Like, I listen to 103.3 FM. I'd leave that on my presets. Now my van has like 12 to 16 presets, so I can easily load up as many as I want to. I don't have to prioritize it, but I do land on it as the last one. So when I land on it, I don't touch it until the music just gets like too old school for me, and then I'll switch. But they say some great things on there. Their dialogue is amazing on there. Sometimes you should give it a chance. Wait a couple times till you catch it, because you're gonna miss it. But when they start talking about the current events, their dialogue's amazing. I was like, wow, this is a Christian station. That's what I'm talking about. So yes, is it a risk and trust in God? Yes, but you can also control that. So just keep it in mind, which is why I'm making this episode for you, that he is going to be, he's going to press you, not in a verbal way, but he's going to press you in your life. Like, are you okay? You're going to go do this and make a risk. Do you not trust that I'm going to come through for you? You have to tell him that you do trust him. And if you follow my structure, you're not having any investment, all these other principles, you're kind of like, you're following your principles if you play. So this is a principled and a disciplined structure that I've created for you. Okay, so now we're going to move on to causing harm to others. This actually hit me the other day. I played against a player who was like super aggressive. As soon as he sat down, he came in with a group of guys. They were pretty young. I'm a way more experienced player than he was, but he was super aggressive. And I'm not going to say that his tactics didn't work, because they did. However, I outplayed him so bad over the course of the time. I took all his friends' cash. Like, it was the night that I had a good night. And the look on the guy's face when he walked away, like he was hurt. Like, you could see it, like everything was hurt. Like, but I don't feel as bad about it, because I know that the guy saw what he thought was weak people when he came to sit down. I could tell that. So he thought that he could come dominate the table and take it over. So it hurt me to see somebody else hurt, but that's the thing about poker that is pretty cool, that I think that it has its justification for it. It's because people are there to take your other money, or to take your money, or you're there to take theirs. And I'm going to wrap up this on that when I get there. I have one more principle I want to talk about, but I'm going to wrap up on that. So the causing harm to others, we can go to a different phase of it. The gambling addiction, right? Gambling addiction and the associated problems can harm individuals, families, and communities. The Bible emphasizes love for others and refraining from actions that could cause harm. So instead of just worried about harming people on the poker table, you need to think about what it does to your family. Like, I've never understood what gambling addiction is, because I don't have addiction problems. I'm very, very much in control of my mind. Even when I have too many drinks, I never lose consciousness. I've got a very strong grip on things. Always have, always will. Or I can't say always will. I don't know the future. But that's just the way my mind is, my heart and my soul. I've always got a strong grip on everything. I don't lose consciousness, or don't just like let go and just give up. It's just not my personality. It's not my mind. It's not my heart. However, I have seen gambling addiction, And it blew my mind because I didn't think that it was from somebody who was addicted to gambling. I thought they were extremely skilled in this game. In fact, I thought they were a little bit more skilled than I was in poker. But I saw them go play something else, not poker, and I saw him empty his bank account, and I saw his girl go to the ATM and take the rest of the cash out and break up with him because he was going to go through all of it to get his money back that he had lost. And I had never seen that before. And I was like, oh, that's what gambling addiction is. I've seen it firsthand. And I was like, wow. And I was doing extremely well in poker at that point. I was following my challenge that last time. So I built up a big bankroll and I loaned him like $1,000 so he could like keep the roof over his head. And he was like frantic. He was freaking out. And he didn't like paying me back either. It was like he felt like I was above him, but I mean, I had to do the right thing. I saw him go through it. I didn't stop him, but I didn't understand. I'd never seen it before. And I was like, I had seen him win so often. I had the confidence that he was going to be able to come through. He dumped thousands of dollars. I was like, bro, okay, you'll come back, right? Man, that was crazy. So yeah, he harmed his relationship, his girl, himself. Gambling will absolutely hurt you. It's a form of addiction. Drug addiction, any types of addiction will destroy everything around you. That's why you can't get addicted, and making one bad choice is how you become addicted. So make good choices. That's why the Grinders Challenge is a good choice. It'll keep you from being addicted. It'll put you on a payment plan. And man, I've been saying this over and over. I know I'll have to say this throughout the entire course of this because there'll always be new people coming on the show. Separating your money will always make you more money because you never touch it. The bankroll always builds. Who cares if you have to come back down to 1-2? Now, I'm not talking to some of you who are already playing 1-3, 2-5, and 5-10. Just invest into it properly, but separate your money and build your bankroll. I'm sorry if it puts you into a scarcity mind frame, but you will make more money if you separate it over the course of time. So right now you're going to go through some growing pains. It's going to mess with your game a little bit. Your confidence is going to come down. If you need to keep doing what you need to do to keep winning because you're not losing, I understand. Don't take my advice at this second. Maybe slowly step your way into it. I haven't gotten deep down to the investment into the game yet. My whole entire premise has been start from the bottom, come to the top. So don't take every single word I say because you know what's best for you as well. But if you need to tiptoe your way into the structure, which seems like some of you are already doing, fine, cool. Take your time getting into it. Don't mess up your game. I do not want to mess up your game. I don't want you to start losing money and get mad at me and then go back to doing what you're doing. But this is where you need to trust in God. If you follow the structure and you separate your cash, it'll work out. Because now you're not gambling anymore. You're just treating it as a business. You're reinvesting small amounts of what you already have to climb and climb and climb. Okay. So we're not going to cause harm to others. And, okay. So now we're going to go back to the last one's the parable of the talents. And this is going to be a tough one for me too. Because I've had regrets about poker sometimes because I wish I would have put some of that time and my talents into other things. But I think this was my calling in some areas, just like videography, photography, digital marketing, advertising, broadcasting. I've been on TV. I've been a semi-actor. So I've done acting since I was a little kid, church plays. It's just been a part of my life. So I think this is part of my calling to lead as many people in the correct direction as possible. And that's how I'm going to end up closing on this. But we're going to get to the parable of the talents, which is the last principle. So while not directly about gambling, the parable of the talents, Matthew 25:14-30, illustrates the importance of using one's resources wisely and productively rather than buying them or risking them recklessly. So while that is true, I will also say that the parable of new talents, the parable of the talents, you could be putting this to use in some other areas. If you are investing into this game, you could be investing into a business, but you haven't spent the time learning that talent. Business is a sport. So if you haven't been learning to invest in a business, which I do plan on getting into on here. So you know how we're going to pay our 30% taxes, which is going to suck. And I'm telling you right off the bat, do not count your gasoline, your food, or your beverages. Don't count any of those expenses at first. You do that later. There's a reason for that. And I'm going to teach you how to turn this into a business as well. So, because of the parable of the talents, this is I didn't mean to come up with this to make it. I think these are just natural, instinctual principles that I've come up with personally, but I want to teach you how to create your own business as well, because there are small steps you have to take, and it was going to take you a long time and experience to learn that. So I'm going to give you a framework. Since we're doing this all together anyway, you need to turn this into a business itself. It's going to come up with a name. Whether you want to do like an LLC or not, you don't have to. We can talk about that. It doesn't really need to get that deep. An LLC is a pass-through entity, so it's probably not going to work in this instance. You're not going to employ people more than likely, unless you just start making $100,000 a week or something, But so you don't want to do like an S corp or anything like that. We'll get into some of those things. We'll figure those out, which is right for you. I'm going to explore those options with you later. But for the parable of the talents, you could be putting your talents into other areas. However, I will say that poker will teach you a whole lot about the world. You will sit down and play in front of every single type of person that exists in this world. You will get to know them. You'll get to navigate them. You'll be out manipulated. You'll be outplayed by them, and then you will do the same to them. And that's going to lead back into the last principle that we were talking about. I guess causing harm to others. But it's kind of going to be a wrap up of all of them together. So, I guess we can go ahead and get into that. So you're putting your talents into other areas. Obviously, you're going to build those skills in those places. So if my audience for this right now personally is from people who are already playing. So we just need to take this last statement on the chin, because this is where we are already. I don't think that brand new poker players are really listening to this right now. If you are, then definitely pay attention. So you could be putting your time, money, resources, and skills into somewhere else. Poker will teach you a lot of business tactics, especially if you put in the time for it. I will say this, being a 15-year poker player now, which that's still crazy. I still don't even believe it when it comes out of my mouth, but playing this game for 15 years, I will tell you, if you do want to create your own business, once you actually get into business is brutal. So mastering poker, this would be better to get in while you're young, while you have the energy to do it. But you could also go get into business and learn the same things too. I think that learning poker will accelerate the sharpening of your tools if you also do this. But you still need to keep your money separate from your business money, or your business is going to crash. There must be a separation all the time. But if you want to start your own business, being a very successful poker player and being a shark on the table is going to teach you so much about business. I mean, so much about business. You played against more entrepreneurs than you know too. Business is a brutal game. You ever remember that saying that you always hear? It's not personal, it's business. Well, our new saying, it's not personal, it's poker. It's the same thing. I'm telling you. I am telling you. I'm in business. I'm a business owner. Man, poker has taught me a lot. Excuse me. I need some water. So yeah, we're gonna wrap on this. Okay. Um, Here's our concluding statement of why poker is okay to play as a Christian. If you follow these principles, these 6 principles, which are stewardship, love of money, risk and trust in God, poor stewardship of time, causing harm to others, and the parable of the talents. Here's a Bible verse for you. It is Matthew 10:16. This is the updated version, so I'm not going to get into the yees and all the stuff we don't understand, although I do like that classical stuff. Behold, I am sending you out as sheep in the midst of the wolves. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. It does not say that you cannot gamble. There are principles that prohibit you from keeping your faith, keeping your trust in God, and affecting those around you. But if you follow these principles and you apply yourselves in the correct areas, you can alleviate yourselves from the dangers of gambling, because you are separating poker from your daily life and you're playing when you're available and you're not wasting your time doing so. So this can be done correctly. So on Matthew 10:16, the way I used to hear it, I like this verse a lot. Be as shrewd as a snake and innocent as a dove. I think that's the more old school way of saying it. So this is where I was saying in poker and business, this can really help you, because you'll play against every single type of person in this world that exists. You'll know everybody. Even though every single individual is different, you will get enough experience playing the same kind of person over and over and over. Like this person, I've seen this type of person over and over and over, and I've never interacted with them in real life. Well, now you get to see their strategies, their moves, and how they operate. Now you can't lump everybody in together, but there are going to be common patterns between certain types of people that are common. They're common people, right? So it's not a bad thing. Being shrewd as a snake and innocent as a dove will put you at the top of the totem pole. That is why. So Matthew 10:16 is a good reason of why you should play poker if you follow all the principles that we have listed today. There might even be others. I would be interested to see what else you all have to say. But yeah, so being shrewd as a snake and innocent as a dove. That is why, as a Christian, I play poker and I find justification in doing so. And like I said, even when I destroyed that guy on the table, I felt empathy. I felt bad, even though I knew he was coming on the table to destroy everybody else. He came in there as a warrior to dominate, but I know how to take those blows and wait it out. And I got two of his friends, and I think the third one. I think I took out three of his like five friends they're all there together. And he was like hurt. He was hurt. I felt bad. It still bothers me. But I destroyed somebody who was trying to destroy me. But I know he'll live to see another day. He lost $200. $200, like it's not that big of a deal, okay? I don't feel too bad, but I just don't like hurting anybody. So causing harm to others, that's one of my principles that I just don't like to do. And I'll have to deal with that. And I'm dealing with it already. It's $200. Who cares? He was there to destroy me anyway. I subtracted his weapons. We can just look at it like that. It's okay. I'll be forgiven for that, and I'll ask for forgiveness. And I'll ask that he becomes a better poker player. I think this is a good way to, if you separate your cash, if you don't use your daily job, this is a good way to go learn these tactics against everybody too. There's so much justification in this, but the Bible does not explicitly say that you cannot gamble. That's just one of the principles that we hold people up to their moral values of. So this is a big old Christian value, Christian and poker episode. I wanted to get to this really bad. I think I said everything I wanted to say for this time being. We'll get more in depth on it later, especially after you all participate, but no poker this weekend because I believe in Good Friday. I mean, I've been working. I guess I don't have it up. I've been working today, but I have to sacrifice time and put things in to get my business going harder. I have to employ more people. I can't stop working. I'm doing another podcast tomorrow. I'll be filming tomorrow. So I'm supposed to keep the Sabbath holy. I will definitely be separating like a good amount of time to keep that day holy tomorrow. But I need to seize an opportunity for this time to keep leveraging myself out of a dictatorship by my other clients. So I must keep moving forward. Sunday, I'm absolutely doing nothing, but I will not be playing poker this weekend, even though I am following all my principles. It's my respect out of God and out of this weekend and out of Jesus. So I will not be participating, but I will be dropping that last week's episode this Monday after Easter is over. So I hope this helps a lot of you out. I know this is probably I have no idea how long I've been recording this, but this is such an important episode for the poker community because this is Texas. We are the Bible Belt of the United States, and gambling is illegal because of Christianity, and it should stay that way. But we can make that argument for poker. We have this perfect structure, the Grinders Challenge, set up for you to separate your life from it. It's perfect setup. If you do so and you follow these principles, we can make an argument to make Texas Hold'em legal here. This is why the Grinders Challenge is more important than any other challenge that's ever come out. I need more of you to get involved in this. We can set more of an example, and I will film all of you. We'll all set an example together. It's not about Tyler Cambry. It's not about Grinders. It's about leading the way, doing the correct thing, setting up a management structure, principles, morals, God. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. This is an exclusive episode. It is not an episode number. Episode number 10 will be dropped on Monday. Happy Good Friday. Keep tomorrow the Sabbath. Keep it holy. Separate your time. Thank God. Thank Jesus for everything. And then Sunday is Easter Sunday. Spend it with your family. No grinding. No poker. No work. Give them a day. You got to take a day. That's one of your principles that you must abide by. Even me, right? I've got to keep going. But today, this weekend, I'm going to follow the stewardship of time. And I'm going to follow my risk and trust in God. I trust that he will fulfill next week for me and that I will give him this time. You need to do so too. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Grinders, but this is an exclusive episode. Christians and culture, Christians and poker, whatever you want to call this. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Happy Easter.